Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to MNW Firing Line, your guide to Multiverse Nexus Wrestling. I'm your host, Jerry Aldini, and with me, as always, is Pete McPherson.
Hello.
And we are happy, as always, to bring you the best in Multiverse Nexus Wrestling coverage. How are you doing tonight, Pete?
Tired.
It's been a long week all around, my friend.
It has.
I appreciate it. I'm kind of pulling double duty these days, both here and on the commentary booth on Warzone.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm. Anon has started to approach me because, of course, yes, this whole transition for you,
Yeah,
I am somehow going to be now dealing with Firing Line.
Okay, just when you're dealing with Anon, and I've been told things. I'm under consideration. It's weird. Just okay. He's going to ask you if you want to donate blood, or he's not going to ask you. He's going to say he needs to draw blood.
Anyway, now that things are starting to, some of the paperwork starting to get filled out on your end, he's starting to look at me weird. I think.
I don't know. I can't read him. That mask,
Yeah.
It's weird. I deal with luchadors. I can usually understand them all the time, but Anyway,
it's the Madhouse head tilt. If you anime fans out there know what I'm talking about, Studio Madhouse.
Anime. What do I know? I've been in rooms with him now, and I've seen it. I know what you mean. Anyway, let's. Why don't we do this? I got a great plan. Let's
start the show.
Yeah, let's start the show. Let's talk about MNW. Let's start with Friday Night Flashbang. And probably no story has been capturing the MNW universe attention on Flashbang more than whatever the hell is going on with Suicide Gemini.
And now I can return my focus where it belongs to you, Nero. There's an interesting thing in professional wrestling. Something that has been far too ignored in MNW. It's a compete clause, a 30-day compete clause for your championship, Nero. I've done the math. You last defended your championship on July 4th, and while there were a couple less shows this month, that means you're running out of time, aren't you? I hope your throat is all right. It seems you're going to need to defend that title or be stripped of it, and what a shame that would be if you couldn't defend your... First of all, Jem, let's hit the pause button on all this talking about us real quick. It was me that got the job done in a match that we didn't even talk about. You see, you've been making a lot of decisions on your own, Gemini, and I feel like it might be time for another one of them heart-to-hearts that you like to have. No, oh, Samuel. No, I wasn't making decisions on our behalf. I was making decisions that had to be made. I told you things were going to get dark, Sam, and I didn't expect you to follow me into the pits of hell, yet here we are. I couldn't be happy about our win last week. Well, that's all well and good, Jim. There's a little bit of a problem. You see, you haven't been much of yourself lately. I was watching the pay-per-view, and I thought about it. I thought, Jim wouldn't screw me over like that. He wouldn't stick me in a match with Satyrus just to use me, right? You wouldn't do that to me, of all people. No, Mr. Manatee, I gave you an opportunity to end the reign of that bull. Yes, it didn't go like planned. Oh, but I'm sure if I gave you another crack at it, you could beat him. I know you could. I could be, you and I could beat him and his brother. No, you know what? Enough of this, Jim. I cannot agree with how you've done things, but I won't abandon you. You talk about walking into hell. I'm about to drag you back up out of there kicking and screaming if I need to. Because as sappy as this sounds, you are my friend, and I don't abandon friends. Especially when they need help. You need a lot of help. Oh, that's so sweet, but I assure you, Mr. Manatee, I am fine. This is all according to plan. You see, if Nero can't defend his championship, if a contender isn't declared, he'll get stripped of his belt. Something that can never be taken off his record. I don't even need to pin him. And you see, that's the problem, Gemini. You're just trying to hurt people. Hurt him. You're sinking at his level. This is what he did for years. And we hated him for it. It's what drove you into this place. And now you're going down there with him. You don't need to do this. Come on, Gem. You're better than this. You're better than him.
And with that, yeah, there's definitely tension in the ranks. But good on Manatee for being a loyal friend. Absolutely. I just hope that doesn't come back to bite him.
Yeah, tension's a good word.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. Suicide, yeah, he is not in a good place. Well, with that, it's time for the kickoff of any good episode of Friday Night Flashbang. It's time for the showcase match. And this week's contenders, the Aristocratic Canid, Big Rock, Dragoon, Scott E. Stevens, Nausea, Cool J. Kyo, Otoro Azul, and Aqualung. And this matchup, so had been pointed out last week here on Firing Line. Scott E. Stevens came on the show to complain about having not been booked, looking for that opportunity, and I guess this was the Brass's answer to him. In the meantime, Cool J. Kyo looking for that elusive first ever win. And Big Rock looking to tie up Lasume 01's record and see if he can reclaim the term King of the Showcases. And unfortunately, the gentleman finds himself the first man eliminated in the match by Aqualung. Then very shortly thereafter, and it's a little hard to see because it's behind the ring, but you actually have Nausea eliminating. It's hard. I'm trying to remember. I think it was. There it is. It was Aqualung eliminating the Aristocratic Canid. Another person very close to a astounding record. And then you have attempts to remove Cool J. Kyo. I'm still looking for that elusive first win. With Aqualung sizing up Big Rock. Again, if you're in a showcase match, you always have to consider Big Rock a threat. And that
Aqualung almost getting Big Rock.
Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, what we missed was Otoro Azul getting eliminated over in that matchup with Dragoon, Cool J. Kyo, and Nausea. And Dragoon working over Cool J while the Beast Mom looks after the Big Rock. Dragoon getting a dirty pin on Cool J. Kyo, which perfectly legal in a showcase match. Still not with that first win for poor Cool J. Kyo. Meanwhile, Aqualung recovering outside, and Nausea deciding to return the favor to Dragoon, by getting him in a powerbomb pinning situation. And then there were 3.
Karma indeed.
So with that,
Naja lasting a lot longer than previously. What is her record now for showcase matches?
she has 1 win under her belt. She does, you're right. She's gone out earlier before.
Are you kidding me?
And this time, I mean, with a lot to prove, I suppose, targeting Aqualung, who's looking for another win to see if he can help raise the status of Vaporwave. But one, Beast Bomb later, and it's down to the Beast Mom and the former king of the showcase.
Oh, even though he's not the head of the showcase anymore, he's still got to be a very concerning last opponent.
I mean, I would be worried, Face. As I said, he is so good at showcase matches. He often is in the final 2, if not the actual winner. He is always a threat in these situations. The showcases, the Monster Mash, you put him in a multi-man match, he is devastating. But tonight was Naja's night. After a hard-fought battle, she takes up another win in the showcase and moves one step closer to glory, I guess, would be the way to put it.
Yeah.
And that's, as we said, a showcase match is always a great chance to prove yourselves, and it is a grand moment. And the nice thing is, because you're facing 8 other opponents, it's not really something that you can say you looked bad, lose. Hang on, I'm getting the thing from Phyllis is flashing. The pick up the phone button. Let's see who's on. Hello, you're on Firing Line.
Oh, you aren't going to go ahead and try to introduce me this time?
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry, Phyllis didn't give me. It's ladies and gentlemen, it is the gentleman of MNW, Scott E. Stevens.
Yeah, good evening. Sorry I was so heated last week. I was under an undue amount of stress.
It happens to the best of us, Scott. So the brass did book you last week.
Yeah, they sure did, didn't they? Yeah, I'm sure they thought it was really funny to book me in the opening bout of the night and in a showcase match, no less. Well, I'm none too pleased with their decision there. But be that as it may, I haven't heard from them or Mr. Lawson at all. I've been trying to reach Mr. Lawson. He hasn't been returning my phone calls. Still want to know what they have to say about my proposal of facing Satyrus. Would really like to hear back from them about that, because I think that's a fantastic main event to have on any episode of Firing Line. But you know what? If that's a little too big of a bite for them to chew, then let me throw out another offer instead. So what you didn't see on this little highlight reel that was just shown, the first several minutes of this showcase match had Big Rock beating the ever-loving hell out of me outside of the ring to the point that I could barely stand upright, with Aqualung then coming in to snatch the decision over me. And, Aqualung and I go way back. I'm good friends with all the members of Vaporwave, so I hold no ill will towards Aqualung. He saw an opportunity to get an elimination, so I'm not going to hold that against him. But in the meantime, I would like for Mr. Lawson and the Brass to consider giving me an opportunity to regain a bit of honor. I would like to face Big Rock one-on-one and have it be, a normal, civilized wrestling match where he can't spend 5 whole minutes throwing me around between the stairs and the rail and the apron. because I am positive that on any given day, I can beat any member of the MNW roster in a singles match, in a one-on-one real wrestling match. Not the fuster-cluck of an 8-man showcase. No elimination-style multi-man matches. Just one-on-one, the fight to the finish. So, until they decide if and when to pull the trigger on Satiris versus Stevens, I humbly request that they consider giving me Big Rock one-on-one at your earliest possible convenience.
All right, fair enough. Anything else you want to share with the audience before we move on with the show?
Well, I do have a couple shows coming up in the near future here in my home dimension. I am in just over a week going to be performing some family business, as it were, in my home promotion of Rubber City Wrestling. And then shortly after that, I will be getting a little bit of retribution against a snot-nosed punk who thinks he can make his name off of me in Fight Night Wrestling, which will also be near Akron, Ohio, the following night. So keep an eye on my social media, if you can't make it to the show live, to see the hilarity that ensues in those contests.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing those. Thank you very much for stopping by, Scott E. Stevens. Well, with that, have you ever actually seen a Scott E. Stevens match outside of MNW?
Can't say I have.
They're good. I've checked out his YouTube channel. It's got some good stuff on there. We won't talk about the time. Apparently, and he has told me in private that it was not his choice. He did have to once team with a clown. It wasn't his choice, and he feels that the how that match went is totally on the clown. Anyway, well, that's neither here nor there. Somebody else who's got something to say after a significant absence, ladies and gentlemen, the king of the jungle, Shere Khan.
DeLuna, you've been put through the ringer. Bulldog, you came back from a broken back. And I had to come back from having my skull smashed in and my mask ripped off. And where is your precious Simon? He got himself suspended. So now you boys are a man down. So it's time to make a choice. Him or me. The guy you can't rely on, or the guy that's always had your back. Because I won't do something stupid and get banned from the show. But if that's really the type of person you want to associate yourself with, then by all means. I don't need a match with you, Bulldog. I've beaten your ass enough. And DeLuna, we don't need to go down this road. But then you two better stay out of my way, and this is where it ends. Because I will never trust the Empire of Terror. Trusting them is like trusting Blackwell or the Outlaws. And what did they do to your father, DeLuna? You remember that when you look Simon in the eyes.
So, strong words from the king of the jungle to his former compatriots, and we'll have to see how that comes out in future weeks. Maybe even tomorrow night on Friday Night Flashbang. In the meantime,
Where could you find that wonderful show?
Twitch.tv/Edward Bosco. Every Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, you will find the wonderful program known as MNW Friday Night Flashbang. Hosted by our friend Eric Jenerickson and Hey Mr. Rabbit, which, at some point I would like to know for sure. I got a question. Apropos of nothing that was really mentioned on the show, except this was brought up between Eric and Rabbit during the show. He's currently under a suspension. I would have to check. It's been a while. It's not quite a year yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah.
when? I mean, I'm sure he's due for a review.
You would think.
At some point. You know, the brass has basically been running the show through Lawson, which has been fine. I think we've all agreed at this point that no matter what you can say about Mr. Lawson, he is a down-the-middle, balanced, fair, treats everyone the same kind of guy, doesn't let people get unfair advantages, but he does toe a very hard line versus the more fun-loving, freewheeling form of Hey, Mr. Rabbit. On the other hand, Hey, Mr. Rabbit's really popular with the kids.
He is.
I think he just needs... Sorry, I had to whistle there. I think that Rabbit is just at a point where it, thumbs up, thumbs down. Give him an answer. You can only be held in limbo for so long. And if the answer is no, you're just relegated to being a wrestler and a commentator, fine, but tell the man. So we'll have to see. In the meantime, our next match was a match set up last week at request of both wrestlers. It is a interfaction match between two members of Spectre Sonata that is largely meant as a training opportunity. And that match features the recently returned Punk Master Ghost going up against his teammate TK, with TK's goal getting PM's confidence back and getting basically shaking off the ring rust.
Right.
Because that's what has really been PM ever since his return has, been having he did great coming back, even though he was all skin and bones and leather that night, looking more his old self, but not having the same spirit.
Right.
So with that, his teammate TK, who has been training him, decided the best way, one of the best ways to learn something is just do it. And one of the best ways to deal with something is just rip off the Band-Aid. And so in that spirit, TK challenged PM to this basically friendly match to see if she can reawaken the spirit within and get him back to his old form. Also, I mean, not showing any mercy. I mean, she grabbed him by the mohawk, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Now I've never worn a mohawk, but I also, back in my days in the ring, I never grabbed a man by the mohawk. I may have once grabbed a guy and leaded him by the skin around his shoulder blades, but that was a completely separate situation, and Apollo deserved it. Not Apollo Hades, different Apollo. Anyway, back to this match.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's tape somewhere.
Sure.
I wonder whatever happened to Apollo Storm. Anyway, back to TK hitting Punk Master Ghost with a hell of a clothesline. And what is... Oh, yeah, I think this match... Did this get set up as a hardcore? I don't remember that being... Oh, getting a table.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, this is... TK is pulling no punches to get Punk Master back to his old glory.
I just guess they decided to table that discussion for later.
Yeah, I mean, it's... if it's got legs, it'll be something they can stand later.
Well, as long as somebody decides to fold.
That's true. And here we have him getting her in that sharpshooter. And TK is holding on, and she taps. And I would say, I mean, so far looks like mission accomplished.
Well, she didn't just hand it over to him. He had to work for it.
He worked for it. I mean, congratulations, Punk Master Ghost, on the victory, but also congratulations, TK, for being a hell of a teacher. That's way to support your faction mate. So I mean we've seen this. You remember that match, TK and Naja versus Kathjina and Mizuki, and TK didn't even have to tap in Naja. She took care of all the business by herself. TK's a hell of a competitor.
Absolutely.
You know, I will stand up any day of the week and state that. I have seen her action in the ring, and she does a phenomenal job, and I can't wait to see what is next on her. Because again, I cannot look at this as a failure on her part. She went in with a job to get done, and she accomplished her goals. So by any measure, that's a success. Now I
can't disagree.
Yeah, now I wonder where CG was during all this. Probably backstage. I don't know, popping popcorn, getting stuff ready, maybe getting ready to take them out that night. Who knows? Hey, speaking of which, you know what is a big situation we have right now?
Was ist das?
After Multivania, we have a lot of new people holding gold. A lot of new and, let's be honest, first-time champions out there in the multiverse. And now we're getting just far enough away from Multivania being about we are now, as of right now, 1 month separated from Multivania. Now's the time to start figuring out who are going to be the various contenders. And one person who would like to get past other issues to figure out who's going to take him on is the new interdimensional champion, our Henshin hero, Brawl Kaiser.
All right, so yeah, no, it was messed up. No, I agree. I don't like it, but it is what it is. So I would appreciate if you guys would stop hunting me and beating me up, because I need a #1 contender for this interdimensional championship, and I need to figure out who is going to fight for the #1 contendership. All right, yeah, no, that fits.
Oh, here comes the scale.
Here comes the Mandalorian.
So let me get this straight. You're actually going to come out here and try to sell that to people that you actually won that championship? You didn't even pin me. You barely pinned Citric. And it's only because of the mad Jester Thor. My patience is running thin with them.
Oh, hi, Hutch. Yeah, about that. I don't know where Mad Jester Fool is. I haven't seen them around. So, if I see them, I will let you know. And I will be happy to help you in your investigation. Seems to be a lot of those going on nowadays. But, yeah, I do need to find a contender, though. And why are you looking at me like that?
Because you owe me. I deserve another chance at that belt, one where I don't get my face kicked in. So you are going to give me that title shot that I want tonight.
You're really, I know I wear a helmet, but the way you're looking with the head, it's weird. Anyway, so look, I can't do, I don't know if you saw the card, but you're actually supposed to have a rematch against Demolition Fox tonight. They've apparently really wanted to fight you, and that's, I guess, so you're kind of busy. Sorry.
I don't give a damn what I'm supposed to do. I want you to give me a title shot. So you're going to say yes, and you're going to do it right now. I'm trying to be kind here.
No! Look! I'm sorry. Look, I've seen your show. And I know what happens when you piss off a Mandalorian. Look, maybe we can, get you involved in the title picture or something. I guess I can't make matches. And, for the record, I mean, MJF was going to interfere on your behalf, and if you had won the belt, would you really be out here complaining? I don't think you would be.
Okay, you know what? Shut your mouth. Fine. You want to play this game? Here's what we're going to do. Everybody gets to be happy. You, Demo, and the Madness are going to get ripped apart by the cartel. So go find your new buddies, and once I kick your head off your head, your chest, whatever, I get a title shot.
Whoa, easy there, Scott Steiner. Calm down. I don't know what it does to kick my head off my head. Just easy. Okay, yeah, you're on. You're on. I'll team. Wait, the Madness? Wouldn't it? I've never even. Is Demo even? This is weird. Okay, I feel like we're at a disadvantage because you guys have already teamed together, and yeah, this is not. I don't feel like this is fair.
No, you're right, bro. It's not fair, and it wasn't fair. But somebody got involved in our match. So you're gonna learn that life isn't fair. And then once I'm done kicking your head off your shoulders, you're going to give me the title shot that I deserve.
And there you have it. So later that evening, a match featuring the Cartel versus Brawl Kaiser, Demolition Fox, and the Madness. So an interesting trio who have no experience together at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting grouping.
Mm-hmm. Also, I sometimes does Brawl Kaiser know that TV shows aren't always real? I mean, it's a simple.
Should we have Max talk to him?
Oh boy, no. I mean. No, because that'll just make it worse. We should have Mega Blitz. Don't you feel Mega Blitz should be mentoring Brawl Kaiser?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean I think that would be good. They have a lot in common. Anyway, moving on. We now hit one of those important nights, important moments of any night here on MNW Firing Line. The first of our audio promos of the week. Because the crew, the people out there in the rosters work really hard and have to make sure that they're getting attention. And this next one, well, this one had a lot of information to give. It was informative. So this ready for the audio promo of the week, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you The Creation.
Since the day I first took breath in this life, there has been a call in my heart. A call for vengeance. A call I thought I could never answer. Taiku was murdered in the ring by the Inquisition on the order of Tomasian graves. When Father put his heart in my body, that heart wanted vengeance for his murder. But the Inquisition had fled in retreat, and Graves died a fitting death at the hands of his brother. True vengeance was beyond my grasp. Until Multivania. I had my suspicions when the beast appeared last year, while his foul brain was in pieces in Father's laboratory. Someone's brain needed to be used, and Dr. Grimm would never be one to waste material. Now Father has confirmed what I thought. I did not face the beast Highworld. I faced Lord Tomasian Graves in the beast's body. And now he is gone. And Taiku's heart can know peace. I feel as one truly reborn. But now that I have put my ghosts to rest, it is time to return to my true work. The work of my father. The work of the House of Caliban. Prepare yourself, Multiverse, for a new wheel turns for thee.
That was quite the revelation. I mean, that was events that go back almost, in fact, over 2 years ago. During the time of the Inquisition, and everyone, I mean, for years, the hashtag Justice for Taiku could be seen on social media from MNW. People always wanting that for him after the brutal murder at the hands of Bison Blackwell. I'm sorry, it was Bison Blackwell that killed Taiku at Graves' orders.
Right.
And then the confirmation of something that people had suspected for a long time, that parts of Taiku were used to make Christopher Caliban. So a lot going on. A lot of people needed to read up on their history on that because, again, we've got a whole generation of fans now who weren't around during the Inquisition.
This is true.
So with that, also tweeting out on social media, I guess in reference to the, not knowing that TV shows are real, the OmniGeek tweeting, I mean, some of them clearly are. I found that out when I fell into the Nexus. I mean, that's true. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, clearly we know there's a Star Wars multiverse, otherwise we wouldn't have Hutch Gale. Or, let's not forget, or Exar Kun and the Funk.
Right.
Or that one time during the 64-man tournament when Darth Maul showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, that's on that. Anyway, in the meantime, speaking of the House of Caliban, we go to this our next match where the members of the House, the Time Bandits and the Creation, come out to face the Guild. Zach DeWeaver, Lasumeo won the Robot, and of course the Curator, taking on the Creation, Thunderbolt, and Sandman. And this matchup, right away, you see Lasume and the Creation face match off, the two powerhouses. Then you have Sandman and Zach DeWeaver, and then finally Thunderbolt going after the Curator. So essentially everyone going after their counterparts in the other group.
Well, as Scotty Stevens was saying earlier, a real Foster Cluck.
A bit. But as this goes on, I mean, you see, Sandman is definitely the firebrand of this group, always running hot, which makes sense. He's going to go after the Orc. Thunderbolt going after the cultured Curator, and of course the two big men fighting outside the ring. It makes sense. I mean, if you want to deal with the Creation, one of the best things is to isolate him with your big man, the person less likely to fall to the wheel of pain. But in the meantime, the Time Bandits in the ring, one of the most well-oiled tag teams in Flashbang, going up against recent tag contenders, the Guild. Always a fascinating matchup. These two groups, on the other hand, haven't had a lot of crossover, to be perfectly honest. Even though when you look at them, there are, I mean, as we're pointing out here, there are so many similarities.
Right.
You have two beings who were built more than born. People from other times, and people who just sort of are maybe a little bit out of place. And, all this was great, but then as is inevitable in a tornado match, especially a tornado trios, partners change. Remember we said Lasume wasn't likely to fall to the Wheel of Pain?
Zach, on the other hand,
especially after having been beat to hell by the Sandman, perfectly set up to be locked in the Wheel of Pain. Still one of the most devastating moves in professional wrestling. And with that, the House of Caliban come out on top. And then it makes you wonder, what is this work that the Creation was talking about? The work of the House of Caliban, the work of his father, Dr. Caliban. It's going to be interesting to see what comes from that.
It will be interesting indeed.
In the meantime, speaking of interesting, so we've known for months of the issues that exist between the Omni Slayer, Jagger Blackthorn, and the Lady Fae, Kathgena. And the fact that after not succeeding in capturing the Flashbang Heavyweight Championship at Multivania, that Jagger has been refocusing on the, as he puts it, the important opponents in Apex, while sending out a reminder to Kath Gina that he knows she's still out there, but as he put it, he has more important things to deal with than her. Well,
which I'm sure she loved hearing.
And as we'll hear, yes, she had a response to that very statement from the Omnislayer.
I understand a certain werewolf is not happy with you and is planning a very, very big surprise for you. 'Twould be a shame if that ate up all of your attention while I worked my magic in the background. Tell me, Jagger, what's worse, simply facing me or having your life torn apart by me? You took something from me that I loved, and now I'm going to hurt you by taking something you love. Artemis, you have just become collateral damage, because if Jagger will not fight me, then I will fight you, and I will hurt you. I will make an example out of you. You vilified Earl King West, but you know nothing of the Fae. You know nothing of our machinations. We are simply vilified for being something you don't understand. Well, you are going to get a lesson, boy. You are going to learn that all bow to the Queen, and you are no exception. Baby Omnislayer.
You know, Pete, I remember the days when she tried to let us know that not all Fae were like Earl King Wes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda. It's been a bit.
It's been a bit, and it's, you know, it's like, okay, but you're acting a little Earl Kingy. That's all I'm gonna say. Little like I've seen this behavior before, only it wore antlers. Oh well.
Yep. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move on to our next match, which is a return to singles competition to the one, the only Shere Khan, coming out to shake off some of that ring rust against Brandon Boss. We two men who are, you know, Flashbang originals. They were here at the very beginning of the promotion, and but Brandon has been around the whole time, whereas Shere Khan took nearly a year off to recover from that vicious attack from Kevin Blackwell that also resulted in Blackwell ripping his mask off in ring and putting him on the shelf, and then of course the disrespect of having Jack the Questionable wear that mask. Shere Khan is definitely coming for some retribution on all of that. And
absolutely.
You know, on the other hand, Brandon Boss has been looking for a chance at that brass ring, chance to raise his profile of late. You know, to show that he's more than just a person who occasionally shows up in showcase matches. And you know, part of that taking out the King of the Jungle, that could go a ways to making that argument.
I was just gonna say, you know, that's one way to do it.
It's one way, but taking that knee from Shere Khan and then those stomps, that's not a way to do it. Of course, there was always the joke in the early days of Flashbang that you couldn't turn a corner without running into somebody who was a hunter. But with Shere Khan, it's less that he's a hunter and more that he is absolutely the king of the jungle. And he's taking this opportunity to remind everyone of how he earned that title. Of course,
absolutely.
During his tenure, he had partnered with the Bulldog Grant Martin, a case of two men who were initially rivals that found mutual respect and formed a hell of a tag team. Of course, when he was put on the shelf, he being Shere Khan, Grant Martin had to step up, and that was rough because during all of that, Grant Martin had his back broken. Had to come back from that. So two guys who have faced a lot of hardship in their careers And here, after that rolling power bomb, Shere Khan picks up the victory. And showing, yeah, ring rust probably isn't going to be a problem for the King.
Certainly not as much.
No, and Brandon Boss not looking happy. He was really looking forward for that opportunity to show what he's made of. And just dejected, and you see that look on his face as he leaves the arena. But yeah, good job on Shere Khan. Now the question is, what's going to happen between him and his former comrades, the Bulldog Grant Martin and DeLuna 13? And really, we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe some answers tomorrow night. We can only hope.
Just have to tune in to find out.
You will. Now, the next... So we were talking about so many things about the new title holders and those people looking for new opponents. But as we know, at Multivania, one title holder on Flashbang managed to hold on to that belt. Nero Napier, the Flashbang heavyweight champion, who has held that belt over 1 year. The man holds the record for the longest title reign. And one person who has been chasing him for almost the entire time they've both been in the promotion is El Pollo de la Muerte. And the Chicken of Death comes to the ring to issue a statement on the situation.
After sitting and thinking about it for many, many weeks, there is only one thing that I can do, because Nero and I will always be linked. There is no escaping the serpent. Whether or not he turns over a new leaf, we are forever linked. But that does not mean I am tied to him. There needs to be other people that I pursue, other championships. But after my showcase, no pun intended, at Multivania, I need to go back to basics. So next week, I'm putting myself back where everybody gets a fresh start, into a showcase match. Because my goal is still to become the heavyweight champion. But the only way to do that is to make sure that I am at the top of my game. And if Nero wants to do showcase matches, I need to be better at showcase matches. If he needs a hardcore match in his defenses, I need to be better at those. I need to train. And in doing so, it allows the others in AAA to showcase their talents. It is not the El Pollo show. It is about all of us, La Familia. So you ask, what is next? What is next? Is El Pollo putting on a show for all of these people that are back in this arena? It is about El Pollo going out and putting on a show with La Familia, with Demo, with El Toro, Slamphibian, Sheepy. All of us are family. It is about all of us, and we are more than just animals against Apex. La Familia.
So with that, the Chicken of Death has made his statement. He is getting back to basics, getting back to the beginning in his...
channeling his Vin Diesel.
In a lot of ways, yeah. One good meme. And with that, declaring that tomorrow night, we're going to see El Pollo de la Muerte in the showcase match. Not often we know ahead of time who's going to be appearing in a showcase, assuming that, of course, the brass signs off on that, but I can't see why they wouldn't. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And talking about training in other styles of matches, getting back to it and knowing that, you had several people who had their titles shot at Multivania. It was an 8-man showcase match of the top members of the Flashbang roster. And as we heard earlier this evening from Suicide Gemini, Nero Napier does have a title defense clause where he has to come up with a defense fairly soon or risk losing his title. So that also is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So a lot going on here. And it does feel, I don't know about you, Pete. I just feel like Nero versus El Pollo has the feel of inevitability. Because I've got something for you. Thinking back, you and I watched this unfolding for over a year and a half now. Has El Pollo ever faced Nero just one-on-one?
I think so. I could have sworn they had.
I'm not sure they have. I mean, they've been in the ring several times together, but there's always been somebody else in the ring. There's always been other factors. I do remember that the one breakdown with the Elimination Chamber, it did come down to Nero and El Pollo. But, of course, Nero retaining, as he always does. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting because I have a feeling that those two, maybe they are just destined to fight forever.
Perhaps.
Well, with that stated, it is time. So from that matchup to one that was called out earlier in the evening, it's time for the Omni Slayer Artemis to face the Lady Fae Kath Gina in singles competition. Kath Gina saying that if she can't get her hands on Jagger Blackthorn, that she'll make an example of his apprentice. And let's be honest, she is a powerful opponent. We were talking earlier about the power of TK, but TK's power was made even more impressive by the fact that she took on Kath Gina. And we already see her just throwing Artemis around like he's a rag doll. Now, Artemis is still a trained Omni Slayer and can put up a defense. But still, there's such rage in Kath Gina. For those who need a reminder, there was an incident where the Omni Slayer Jagger had to, while he says not by his choice, had to kill 2 members of Kath Gina's family in what he described as a mercy killing they begged for. But nonetheless, since his hand ended the life of her kin, she wants retribution against Jagger. And every effort on her part to gain that retribution has been thwarted. They did have one match. Jagger won. She's been wanting a rematch ever since. And no matter what she's done to try and get there, something always gets in her way. So now,
and right now, that thing is Artemis.
That thing is Artemis, although this is her deciding if she can't get to Jagger, she's going to tear his world apart. And going straight for it in so many ways by taking on Artemis. And here you think, okay, she was in a predicament. What was happening to the ref? Because I'll say this, if she attempts to use Fey magic in the ring, that's going to lead her to having issues with APS. Now, I think she's already had dealings with them, and I think it may have gone in her favor. But still, if I were her, I would not want to make that mistake of getting their attention. But on the other hand, I don't know if she cares.
Yeah, not the best radar to be under.
No. And after a top rope DDT, which how often do you see those?
Not often.
No, she manages to gain the victory over Artemis as she said she would. Now, we don't know, we haven't heard word of how badly hurt he was in that match. That we know that was her real goal, hurt Artemis. We'll have to see how that goes. I do know that the brass will not be happy if you have somebody intentionally hurting members of the roster. Now, speaking of people who've been under the scrutiny of APS, people you don't mess with, people who have been known to at times take some magical liberties. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Pumpkin King himself, Mad Jack.
The bad news is it looks like Wilson, son of Will, is coming back to his old stomping grounds.
But Wilson, you seem awfully confident to a man who lost to a jobber. And not just any jobber, one who was repackaged as having one more chance. You... Sorry, that's mean. I shouldn't insult Juan Chance like that. Unlike you, he actually can wrestle. But you know what I'll say about Juan? At least he believes in who he is. He has enough confidence to believe in wearing his mask and his coat and the style that he likes. Do you all remember what Wilson used to look like? Oh, it was hideous. No, really, go watch it on the YouTube channel.
Uh-oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to come out here and mess up your whole shtick, but I was kind of sick of listening to you talk because, quite honestly, Mad Jack, you haven't impressed me since you won those trios, but the fact you guys have barely been on the show, it must be nice to get that championship payday and not have to show up for work. Isn't that right?
Oh dear, oh, my feelings shot through the heart, and you are so vain. No, but really, you are. You're also missing someone. See, there's you, oh, Rico's not around. So you're doing an awful lot of talking for someone who's outnumbered.
We might be outnumbered, but we've also got a casting call out because everybody knows that I'm the hottest man in showbiz today, both in and out of the ring. And who wouldn't want to stand beside me in Aqualung? Did you see that showcase? Again, I like how you dodged my whole point about not showing up. Aqua showed up. Aqua showed out, because that's what Vapor Rave does.
Oh, good. Well, since you decided to interrupt me, allow me to finish what I was saying, because it kind of applies to you, too. All of you pretty boys are always trying to impress someone. You're trying to impress all of these fans because inside this squared circle, you're not very impressive.
Vaporwave has been the hottest commodity since we were put together. Aqua, myself, Rico, we have been impressing from day one to right now. Again, look at the footage. The tape doesn't lie. And if you want proof, do me a favor. Don't lose those titles to VIP because Vaporwave will be waiting for you.
Yes, I've heard it before. But allow me to finish what I was going to say to Wilson, and this applies to all of you pretty boys. Wilson's ugly face and his whole attire were changed not because he wanted a new look. It's because he didn't want to have to sleep on the couch. He has no balls, and we're going to take what dignity he has left. Because VIP is all talk and no show. All you are a bunch of pretty people in pretty outfits, whereas Doom has one rule. Do not mess with us.
And I mean, that's a rule we've had reinforced many so many times. Don't mess with Doom for the love of whatever. I mean, you and I know that one. You and I know that one very well. So, but apparently Apollo Hades has to learn the hard way. And that's fine. You know, that's fine. Also, who do you think would be the most likely to answer a casting call for Vaporwave?
That is a good question.
That's a great question. How far are they casting their net? I mean, are we looking at members of the roster? Are they perhaps looking to maybe bring somebody over from Warzone? Are we looking at somebody we've never met before? A lot of possibilities there.
There are.
Some of them terrifying.
Sure.
But, you know, when you've been covering MNW as long as we have, terrifying just becomes sort of just part of your experience. Hey, speaking of terrifying, our next match from earlier in the evening, we heard from Mr. Manatee He was sticking by his partner, Suicide Gemini, and taking on the Crimson Phoenix in this new form. And Phoenix set the stage on fire, Pete.
Yep.
That was
definitely was not trying to burn it down or anything.
I know that Apollo Hades likes to say he's hotter than you. I'd love to see him face to face try and say that to Crimson Phoenix. I mean, I'd love to see it from a distance.
Yes, or with suitable insulated wear.
Yeah, and maybe some air conditioning. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
On the other hand, somebody who's used to, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. And if there's somebody who's used to the heat, it's the head chef of MNW, Samuel Manatee. And Manatee has shown time and again he is a tough competitor. On the other hand, and I don't blame Crimson Phoenix to be upset, Manatee's out there, and of course, Suicide Gemini. What is going on with him? And Manatee's like, I don't know why you're looking. Oh, okay, fine. Well, you know what? You looked away. That's your fault.
Well, I mean, he isn't doing anything. He's just coming out there.
Yeah, we've seen it. Heck, we've seen this from Victor Vicious does this all the time. Doesn't get involved in the match, just sort of comes out there and watches. Heck, we've seen this from members of Apex. It's a lot of people try and claim, oh, it's the decision maker. And we have seen it make things go people's way. On the other hand, it doesn't seem to be slowing the Phoenix down one little bit.
Yeah, you could say they're on fire.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely on a hot streak.
Yeah.
And Mr. Manatee, he's going to be feeling the burn here. And after that, and then a Phoenix down later, getting a pinning predicament on Manatee. Manatee kicking out. But you know what they say about the Phoenix? They rise from the ashes. And if one Phoenix down isn't going to get the job done, well, you know what?
Well, the important thing to realize with most Phoenix downs, they only bring you back to one hit point. So you're still coming back vulnerable. And so they took advantage of that and got the win.
Yep. Perfect pinfall for the Crimson. Even with Suicide Gemini out there, Gemini did not look happy. But the Crimson Phoenix showed, there's been a new life in the Phoenix since taking on this ascended form. And
slightly less dapper.
Yeah, not as dapper, but definitely very effective. I mean, not as dapper, but certainly strikes a pose.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, we have one last person that wanted to come to the ring. So a lot of people, when they come to the ring with a microphone, they have two things going on. They either want to send a message or they want to air a grievance. This next person is the latter. Somebody who's got a grievance not with any one person, but almost with the entire MNW multiverse. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Lionel Matrix.
Explain to me what I have done. No, genuinely, I'm curious. Look at my entire body of work here in MNW and tell me specifically, what have I done wrong? Please, don't worry, I'll wait. I've done nothing. All I did was come back and ensure that Brawl Kaiser was not shipped off to Warzone. You're welcome. I made sure that Henry Colt would not be suffocating under the crippling debt of his medical bills. You're welcome. And what have I gotten in return? One stupid phrase. Hashtag not a cult. It's cute, really, except that it's not. I am the prophet of Lady Nortia, and she has delivered me here for one purpose: to compete and spread her word. So I ask again, what have I done to you that has made you hate me so? I have been vilified, crucified, and criticized for no good reason. And I guess it's appropriate, because it appears you people want me to be some kind of evil doer, some kind of secret psychopath. Well, spoiler alert, I'm not. So knock it off.
So definitely a sore point for Lionel Matrix. He claims he's a prophet of the goddess Nortia, and not a cult leader, as so many accuse him of being. So that's and let's face it, this isn't like some made up goddess. From my understanding, you can go in your history books and look her up. The goddess of luck, fate, and time. But
well, and let's be fair, sometimes cult religion that can just fall under whether or not you get tax exemption.
That's pretty true. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, how legit are you? So I've heard people call a lot of otherwise very well-established religions cults. I've heard people call political parties cults. So, you know what?
I've heard the band Cult be called the Cult.
I mean, okay, that might be not quite the same thing. Yeah. Anyway, so, you know what? I'm willing to give him a fair shake. Let's, as he said, the worst thing he ever did was, I mean, there was some question about his entrance, but even then he said, it turned out great for Brawl Kaiser. So, you know what? Fair. Matrix will give you a chance. We here on MNW Firing Line are officially saying, we'll give you a chance. All right. With that, well, we have one last match to cover for MNW Friday Night Flashbang. It's your main event, and it could determine the #1 contender for the Interdimensional Championship. So on one side, Demolition Fox teaming with The Madness, and your interdimensional champion, Brawl Kaiser, taking on The Cartel, Victor Vicious, Nitzig Gunk Gobbler, and Hutch Kale. With Hutch saying if the Cartel wins, he gets a shot at Brawl Kaiser's Interdimensional Championship. Now, I'm still waiting because I haven't heard official word if the brass have signed off on that. I, for one, and again, as Brawl Kaiser himself so rightly put, he doesn't book matches. He's a good kid. He is the best boy. He doesn't try and circumvent the brass, whose job it is to determine what happens in the booking. I mean, I've met members of the booking committee. They work hard.
Sure.
So you just, and the worst thing you have are people who try and jump the line, either by jumping a wrestler or making some other declaration. On the other hand, there is a argument Hutch can make. He was in that match. He was not pinned. And he faced interference at the hands of his former Cartel comrade, Mad Jester Fool, who we have not seen since Multivania.
That's a good point. We have not seen much of them.
Madness has been around all over the place. Madness was our audio promo of the week last week.
Sure.
Madness has been coming in there doing the job, although it seems that, it is official. They are not part of the Cartel anymore. Also, let's talk about Victor Vicious. He while from the edits here you can't tell, other members did come in. Most of this match was vicious. And I mean both the person and his behavior.
I was going to say, which one? Yes.
Yeah. He a lot of people have been saying that the Cartel is powerful, but that Victor himself is the weak link. But I think that part of what was happening here was Victor going, hey, you magooks, shut up. And he proves that he taps out the Interdimensional Champion. Victor Vicious gets a victory over Brawl Kaiser. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Now, yeah, this was all about Hutch Cale getting an opportunity. But let's be honest, Pete. Victor Vicious could make a strong argument. Maybe it should be him. Now, knowing Victor, he has been known to be a man of his word. And he's absolutely the kind of guy to stand by Hutch Cale and say, nope, this is Hutch's shot. I am happy just to see him go. But,
hey, you know, sometimes it's just better when you've got people to handle stuff for you.
It's true. But, yeah, I think that would, I mean, you know, we all, I've had some issues watching how the cartel behaves sometimes. But I got to give Victor credit. You know, he is, ever since winning that Get Off the Schneid match, he has been more and more showing, no, I am not a joke. You will respect me. So love him or hate him, at this point, you got to respect him.
No, we're starting to see results.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it, I mean, in the squared circle, that's what it takes, results. And the fact that, I'm going to say this, sometimes those results are questionable. They're not always clean. I'm talking about that Survivor Series. But that match right there, yeah, 3 men entered the ring against 3 other men in a tag team matchup, and that one went clean down the middle. So, good on you. And I guess we'll see if the brass okays that match. I guess we'll find out tomorrow night. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is bringing us to the close of our Flashbang coverage, which leaves us one last thing, and that is the Flashbang Moment of the Week. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Sup, dudes? Do you want to look as gnarly as one of your favorite wrestlers on show who's holding one of the world titles from MNW? Well, you totally can, without even leaving your couch at Totally Tyler's Titles. For only $39.99, you too can own a complete replica of one of MNW's famous titles, like the MNW World Heavyweight Championship, the Tag Team, the Nexus Titan, the Interdimensional Championship, dude. So you can show off to your parents and show how gnarly you are, or you could secretly try and claim that you're formerly the title champion holder by holding a knockoff title. So come on down to Totally Tyler's Titles, where you can be a title holder today.
No official MNW wrestlers are allowed to hold the titles if they're a replica, unless you want to talk to Jim in the back.
His opponent, weighing in at 245 pounds, representing Apex, the Crimson Phoenix. Waking up fire! The Crimson Phoenix has fire! Literal fire!
That's a lot of flame!
Oh god, they lit the stage on fire on both sides! Okay, that's new.
This doesn't cost nearly as much as Duke's thing, though. Isn't that amazing?
They literally set the stage on fire. That is...
Yeah!
That cost a lot.
Not as much as you think. There's been a lot of advancement in things that don't catch on fire lately. The stage isn't one of them, though. I'm gonna let you know that right now. That is a costly thing.
I mean, fair.
Spit hot fire.
I am thoroughly impressed.
I love this, dude. I love this new thing. I love this. This is so nice.
And there you have it, your Flashbang Moment of the Week, coming in like a phoenix.
Very, very flamey.
But Pete,
lots of fire.
It is, yeah. I have questions, not about that commercial.
Yeah.
I first off, Zach DeWeaver's going to sue someone. Second, yeah, no, I may have to, you know, when I'm on Saturday when I'm in the commentary booth, I may have to have a quick confab with Eric.
Yeah, perhaps.
Anyway, with that, we are at the end. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as everyone knows, our friend Joe Mojo had to take a break from doing the call out in order to, for some work-life balance, which, of course, we absolutely appreciate. And while we are still looking for a permanent solution, we have decided once again to dip into the call out archives and bring back one of his classic interviews. And looking at it this week in the production truck, we realized there was one that was just sitting there that absolutely had to be looked at again, just because of the charisma and the power of the interviewee. Ladies and gentlemen, a classic call out. Joe Mojo interviews the Atomic Adonis, Big Papa Plutonium, the main man, the Revenant.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Firing Line, and welcome back to the Call Out. My name is Joe. My guest tonight is formerly of the Faces of Fear, a former Nexus Titan champion. He is the main man. We speak to the Nuclear Revenant. Revenant, thank you for joining us.
Who the hell are you supposed to be?
My name is Joe Mojo, and I am a reporter for MNW.
Who that?
Multiverse Nexus Wrestling, the place that employs you as a competitor.
What? You mean I'm supposed to be getting paid for all this
So, you have a story past here in MNW. As stated previously, former Nexus Titan champion, original member of the Faces of Fear. For those who don't know of you or have seen you compete, what can you tell us about yourself?
I am the main man, the Atomic Adonis, Big Papa Plutonium, the Revenant, and I do not lose in any fashion. In fact, I have to inform every woman that I bed that I remain a virgin because the main man lays down for nobody. I also take classes in Zumba. The main man loves him some Zumba. And I punched a kid.
So, aside from your Zumba class, how did you come across MNW?
Well, you see, this place seems to be a whole collection of multi-universes connected through sheer happenstance, and not only universes, but timelines. In my universe, slash, you gotta have a slash in their timeline, the main man punched a hole in space-time and appeared at this place. Also, don't go in the back room, by the way.
What are you talking about? Oh, God, what is that smell?
Well, if the main man is being honest, the punch and the hole that I made is still there. And every now and then something tries to get through. But unfortunately for them, they happen to run across the main man, and they met their untimely demise. Or as I like to call it, self-defense. I haven't found a way to close it yet, but I is working on that in my spare time. What you're smelling is a dead thing from the void, or that little area between universes that no living creature's supposed to go. But I've been there and I had to fight my way to get through here, and then I ended up here, but it's all good. Side note, they taste great when you cook them right.
Well, let's hope that gets settled soon. Last thing we need is more Eldritch Abominations.
Is there more? Because I gotta tell you, my meat locker's getting low.
Moving on. One of the first things people remember of you is you feuding and then forming a faction that we know as the Faces of Fear. Can you tell us about how that began?
Well, truthfully, it wasn't really a feud. It was settling a score. And I don't have enough patience to hold a grudge. Whatever happened in that match was settled one way or another with my alternate victory. As for forming a faction, I was like, sure, it could be fun. But then the main man had a lot of fun. Gotta have fights with all kinds of bass stitches. Had remarkable fights with some of the toughest SOBs MNW has ever produced. Now, there's too many goddamn factions for the main man to give a I ain't got patience or the time or energy to waste on how many factions there are now. And the Faces of Fear, like, they didn't want me to talk much. Lucy said it had a bit too much personality, and like it will throw people off. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but it's all good. I gotta kick people's asses one way or another.
Especially during the falling out in the following match at Multivania. Could you tell us about that match?
I guess if you care so much about history, I took issue that as a founding member, I was kicked out. I say I alternatively voluntarily left the Faces of Fear, but it is what it is. Even though when it came down to it, Lucius Constipation said that we stay together as a group in his match. Now, he lost and elected to kick members out. One of them was me. As a founding member that has been by that fat ass Lucius Constipated since near the beginning of the multiverse, I took acceptance to that. I said I don't hold grudges, but that don't mean my feelings don't get hurt. Now, personally, I would have liked for it to have stayed between me and Lucy. But I know him better than anybody else. I don't care what the hell Rapture New Road might have to say about that. I've been with him since the beginning. And he can't fight his own battles without getting his crew, not much of one anymore, by the way, involved. So, unfortunately, I had to put together a team. One of them was Fear Strikes. Well, now that I think about it, is the sole reason I'm kicked out, because he went to the brass and made that stipulation and cost me the one thing I actually probably cared about in the multiverse. And I had to put together a team with some other people and take the fight to my own faction, and like I said, we settled it.
Well, you haven't lost any steam from that whatsoever. After the event, you came back as the main man. I assume you've always been the main man, but what helped you rediscover yourself?
Well, to answer your question, I was already the main man, but now that I am on my own, I no longer had a reason to remain quiet. All that's different is I started talking and you schmucks act all surprised. Also, nobody came up and talked to me. F***ing assholes, all of you. I like to talk to people. You know, drinking alone gets lonely after a while. That's why I got Gorewheel. He's a drinker. Also, people seem to have gotten this impression that I was some dark and broody, mysterious asshole. Ooh, look at me. I'm so edgy. I got a dark and mysterious past. I'm an asshole from another dimension. We have got too many of them assholes walking around, so I can see how my miraculous ability called talking can be seen as a rediscovery to the less educated.
Well, it appears that you found some form of friendship in Gorewheel, premiering as Toxic Waste, or was it Wastelanders? Either way, could you tell us about how that partnership came about?
Well, it all kind of started when I nuked his planet and changed the environment that Gorewheel hails from. You see, I kind of make wastelands wherever I go. Sometimes when I take a shit, boom, there's a nuclear explosion. I can't control it. But anyways, Gorewheel approached me. I had a good match with the dude. He's a young buck making his way through the MNW. And we had a very impressive match, but I won. As I always do, because in case you haven't been paying attention, I do not lose at all in any fashion. He approached me. The young Gorewheel approached me and asked me to team up with him. And I said, sure, why not? You know, I don't have a faction anymore. I ain't got friends. I could use a friend, you know, and, you know, he's from a wasteland. I make wastelands. You know, we got a connection. We both drink out of skulls. And, you know, we blew up a couple of buildings. I collected some more skulls and spines for decoration. And now we is a team. And this skull mug, the one that I got in my hand right now, is a gift he sent me.
Wait, what? You nuked a planet?
Mm-hmm. I've nuked several. Why, you haven't?
No!
You're lost. Nothing better than hearing the screams of those who refuse to serve you alcohol. Besides, I fracked my homeworld for a side project. Gave myself an A-.
So, what's next for you and Gorewheel? Are you going to be continuing as a tag team? Or is this going to be a once-in-a-while kind of situation?
Do I look like a guy with a plan? I just do things to see how it works out.
With all that being said, as we are winding down here, is there anything that you would like to tell the Firing Line audience?
I want all my freaks out there to stand up and pay some homage to Big Papa Plutonium by bringing the house down. Holla if you hear me.
I would like to thank the Nuclear Revenant for joining us, and if you would like to see the main man in action, please tune in to twitch.tv/Takahata101 for MNW Warzone on Thursday nights. This has been Joe, signing out.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your Callout Classic with Joe Mojo interviewing, and I'm not contractually. There's been legal briefs. The main man, the Atomic Adonis, Big Papa Plutonium, the Revenant. And now that I'm commentating on Warzone, I have to say that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. In fact, this weekend I'm going to have to say it. Because, as we're going to be covering, there's going to be a title match. And the Wastelanders, now the Roughnecks, well, still the Wastelanders, but also the Roughnecks, are the MNW Unified Tag Team Champions.
Yep.
Fancy that. They hold the belts again. And they give them such a glow.
They do. They really do.
To be honest,
and it takes
everything kind of a glow.
Many years for that glow to leave.
It's got a half-life. Hey, speaking of Warzone, so of course now it's time for our Warzone coverage, and to kick off Warzone this week, we were graced by the presence of Warzone's resident mad scientist, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Grimm.
Why, hello there, Multiverse. I believe formal introductions are always appropriate. My name is Dr. Grimm. And as you know, the Murder Cave is in a very heated confrontation with one Zako Duo and his mean brethren. Now tonight all of you were expecting a very special matchup between R. Sawyer and Grizzly Adams, but the Murder Cave has decided that should happen next week. Grizzly needs a week to prepare for R. Sawyer, to scout him out, and we've given him a tremendous opportunity to do so here tonight. In the world, well, tonight, you get to team with your Bro one more time against the team of Chaz Lee and the All-Father Archive. And of course, bring Malice to make sure Grizzly does nothing wrong. We're simply going to be scouting you out, figuring out the weak points of both of you, because after Grizzly kicks R. Sawyer's head clean off his shoulders, I can assure you one of us will rip that championship from around your waist and put it around ours. I, on the other hand, am out here also to address you, XR Coon. It appears you can't leave old wounds alone. You try to rip them open and pour salt into them. So, never has this been a more appropriate invitation. How about next week we do a little pick your poison? Seeing as how your eye is all healed up, I have a special opponent in mind if you accept.
– Well, that's something. I couldn't believe
it. And spoiler, he did.
Yeah.
He did have a surprise.
He did, but we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, so Dr. Grimm and the XR Coon still facing each other. Pick your poison matches coming up on this upcoming Saturday. But yes, the main event, well, the penultimate event of the evening, the Murder Cave versus the Robros. But in the meantime, time to kick off Warzone, and as has now become the tradition, just like Friday Night Flashbang, Warzone kicks off with a showcase match. Yes, Warzone has embraced the tradition of the showcase match. Makes you wonder, Pete. Makes you wonder, do you think that at some point Warzone might embrace the get off the schneid?
Perhaps.
Could be, huh? Be interesting to see.
It would.
But in this case, ladies and gentlemen, for your showcase match, Absolute Washington, driving instructor add-on, Whitney Lee. It's gotta be Kane.
The man of 8,003 kings.
The former Warpgate Hardcore champion, Ginger Boy.
No stranger to showcases.
None at all. The ominous Mr. Butler. The noir Papusa Monkey PI. And the funkiest man in the building, Da Funk. And interesting, Papusa and Da Funk go right after each other. Washington focusing on Ginger Boy. Kane going after Anon. And that leaves Whitney Lee to take on Mr. Butler. You know, you can make a lot of decisions. You know, I think a lot of times when you kick off one of these matches, a lot of it is just, who are you close to? Who's the easiest target?
And it seemed the easiest target that time was Mr. Butler.
Yeah. And with that, he's out of the match. And then Whitney Lee getting a pinfall predicament on Papusa. And
the second pin from Whitney Lee.
Yeah,
but Ginger Boy coming in and getting the next pin on Absolute Washington.
I mean, on fire. I mean, this showcase match was going fast. It was going furious. And then Da Funk getting an FU on Gingy. And the third count, and then the former champ is out. Whitney Lee, who, as you stated, already had 2 eliminations, going after Anon, while Da Funk focuses on Kane. And the funky one eliminates the man of 8,602 moves. And that leaves Anon to do a patented bloody end on Da Funk. And the power of the bloody... You know, I don't think we've appreciated recently how powerful that bloody end is.
Absolutely.
Eliminating the funky one.
Bringing it down to 2.
Yeah, and that leaves Whitney Lee going up against registered Anon. And I want to say this was a long fight between these two when it was just down to the 2 of them. But in the end, and for a minute there, it looked like Anon was going to win, but no. Whitney Lee brings the gold home for Omega Club.
And what a win it is. Look how hype he is.
And with that, Whitney Lee wins. And we are hearing out on social media. It's from Kane. 8,602 got 86. Oh, okay. I guess we're not using that term anymore. Or he's meaning he got knocked out. It's hard.
I think he's just trying to be a good sport about it. Which you gotta respect Kane.
You know, that's kind of interesting considering he's part of Legion. But you know,
absolutely.
I mean, as we said, in fact, as I said that during that commentary, of all the members of Legion, I feel Kane's the only one with a legitimate gripe.
Sure.
He's the only one of them where I think he's not just being a whiny bastard. Which I think is part of the reason why he seemed to have some focus on Anon early on. It's like, damn it, I wanted my match. HR doesn't make matches, Kane. But still, I understand where you're coming from. With that, well, that's your showcase match. And Whitney Lee joins the growing list of Warzone showcase winners. We're still waiting for that golden moment. The first time somebody on Warzone wins a second showcase. It takes a while. You got to build up. Got to get people going in that. I know Beowulf absolutely would love to be the first 2-time showcase winner on Warzone.
Sure.
Certainly, it seems to be one of his goals, although he has found a new focus dealing with his rivalry with Sergeant Major Payne, which we might be hearing more from this upcoming weekend.
Oh, look forward to seeing.
Yeah. In the meantime, going back to the ring, we have a heck of a matchup, possibly leading to a, I would think, potential future Warpgate Hardcore match. Because we have the Daggerick, going up against Mick Morgan, our Warpgate Hardcore champion. So I got a question, Pete, as we look at this match. Daggerick, we know that he became more brutal, a much darker figure after spending a fair amount of time in prison. And by prison, I mean being imprisoned by the Inquisition.
Correct.
Do you think he has any thoughts, or maybe he had any reaction to hearing who the creation actually faced at Multimania?
Perhaps, yeah. He might have had some feelings regarding that.
Because he was imprisoned directly on the orders of Lord Tomasian Graves.
Right.
For the crime of neglecting his duty as a Dwarven prince. Of course, we later learned that Tomasian Graves wasn't a legitimate inquisitioner, and that his inquisition was a false one. We won't get into all the machinations. It's quite the history lesson. Someday somebody should do a documentary on it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, important to this match, you see the Warpgate Hardcore champion putting a Highlander on Daggerick, going for the pinfall, but the Dagger having none of it. Getting the kick out and just absolutely bringing it. Now, we know that Daggerick is a former Warpgate Hardcore champion, and he's been in the Warpgate division for a long time, and I think he's looking to recapture that glory. He is looking for the chance to get that gold so that perhaps he has that lure to deal with his book of grudges. Plus, you just got to be impressed by a man who made his own motorcycle from scratch.
Out of a box of scraps.
Yeah, that was really impressive. But yeah, and then there you have it. And 1, 2, 3, and Daggerick gets a victory over Mick Morgan. So right now, Daggerick makes the strongest claim to being the #1 contender for the Warpgate Hardcore Championship. Now, whether that translates into an actual title shot, that remains to be seen.
But if there is going to be a contender, I'd say he made a very good, strong push for that position.
He did indeed. Now, speaking of somebody in a strong position, I think it's fair to say nobody sits in a stronger position in this moment than Mr. Mega Money in the Big Bank, Sam Jax.
There seems to be a lot of bickering over a championship that has already been claimed. You see, Murder Cave, it doesn't matter if you come out here and make your proclamation that you are going to beat Zako, because even if you do not forget who holds the key to the world title picture. It is I. But tonight, Gorwheel, you have been selected for a very unique opportunity. You see, tonight, Gorwheel, you get to go one-on-one with a man who needs to blow off a lot of steam. The monster, Gorm. And we will all be watching very, very carefully. Hopefully he doesn't rough you up too bad. The era of the bloodline is upon us, and soon we will all be draped in gold. The world title around my waist. The tag titles for Boots and Carnival. Oh, and Mick Morgan, Gorm has not forgotten that you have what is rightfully his. Soon the bloodline will run MNW.
Now, normally I would say, well, that's a big boast. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think Sam Jax is in a great position to make that boast come true.
Well, there's certainly a lot more weight behind it nowadays.
I mean, let's be honest. He's got Mega Money in the Big Bank. And he could at any time swoop in and go after the biggest prize of them all. As he pointed out, Lady Boots and Carnival are going to have a shot at the Tag Team Championship coming up, and that puts 2 more gold in their sights. And if Gorm can make a good play to go after the Warpgate Hardcore Championship, that's 3 potential titles under the control of the Conquest Bloodline. All they would need is someone to go after either the Big O for the Nexus Titan, and let's face it, they, well, actually at this point, so here's a question. I've noticed Lady Boots has been wrestling herself lately. We haven't been seeing the stand. Can Lady Boots and Feel Good Inc. count as 2 separate wrestlers any longer?
I wonder.
Although I think at this point, I noticed we haven't been seeing a lot of Feel Good. Lady Boots has been coming out and doing the job herself.
True.
She doesn't need a stand anymore. Ever since the relaxing of that rule, letting intergender wrestling occur in MNW, the lady has come forth and shown herself to be a strong contender. Although here's the thing I would state. If anyone deserves to go after a strap, it's a lot of people saying Lady Boots was screwed out of her opportunity at the Nexus Titan Championship.
Yeah. So that is something that has been going around the rumor, the not the rumor mill, but the back lot.
Yeah, the hot sheets are talking.
Yep.
Speaking of talking, Pete, it's time for the audio promo of the week for Warzone.
Yep.
And we looked at it, and we were there was a lot of look, and a lot of people were trying to make decisions. But in the end, it came up that there was one promo that did actually stand out. And sometimes you just gotta live with this, ladies and gentlemen. Work rate Wilson.
Good evening. This is Ryan Belavez of the Wilson Observer Newsletter with Wilson. Oh my God, what the fuck just happened? What do you mean what just happened? What, are you blind? Jesus! One chance, you stupid son of a bitch! I'm gonna fucking kill you! You! Nobody does this to Work Rate Wilson! Nobody does this to VIP! You think you have one chance? Well, you have 0 chance of surviving once I find you! You disgusting piece of shit! You don't make a fool out of Work Rate Wilson, and I'm gonna show you, that Neanderthal, and that giant camo-wearing dipshit what happens when you do, you fucking cunt! Well, calm down, Wilson. You're gonna make the network cut the mic. Fuck off, Ryan, you piece of shit, dirt sheet! I just had the worst week of my entire life, and you're gonna lecture me? Eat shit and die! Sorry. Anyways, what do you plan on doing about this? Are you going after Juan? Oh, you wanna know? Well, Ryan, let me tell you! While I deal with my business going down on Flashbang, I'm gonna make Juan Chance life a living, breathing hell! Sleep with one eye open, Juan, because I'm going to fuck you up! Run for your life, Juan Chance, and take everything you hold dear with you, including those precious friends of yours! Ah, fucking bullshitty pissing fuck! As you can see, Wilson is incredibly angry that we lost to Juan Chance, so I better get out of here. This has been Ryan Belavez of the Wilson Observer Newsletter. Good night.
Guess I was confused for a while. I thought Ryan? I thought Ryan worked for Wilson.
Maybe.
But now I don't know.
Well, certainly in question now. That's for sure.
But speaking of which, the next match was directly referenced to that as VIP comes down to support the Beef and his tag team partner. One, a Suplex Sam. Yep, it is the Suplex Express. And who are they taking on? Well, what a shock. Juan Chance. And Juan needed a tag team partner. And who did he get? Devin. Because once again, it's going to be Devin versus Sam and Juan versus the VIP roster. And there's so much that the Suplex Express is looking for here. Comeuppance for Juan's pinning of Work Rate Wilson, and also comeuppance for Devin beating Suplex Sam at Multivania. But the first thing you see is a lot of good teamwork between Devin and Juan.
True.
I mean, I know that, as we've been saying recently, a lot of people have been underestimating Juan Chance. A lot of people, because of where he came from, looking down on him and his ability, but he's proven himself to be quite the adept wrestler. But
well, and isn't Devin the first person that really had an impact on his career?
Well, I mean, Devin and Suplex Sam were originally partners in Shoot Nation. First as a duo, and then with Jack Abbott over on Friday Night Flashbang. And that lasted all through their coming to Warzone, to joining Nakama Worldwide, and lasted up until the moment that Trashman Jones kicked them out of the NWO, and VIP picked up Sam but had no interest in Devin, and Sam went, fine, leaving Devin out in the cold. Meantime, you have, let's remember, a big portion of why this match was happening was to punish Juan for daring to pin Wilson. And after that brutal sexplex, they manage it, and VIP gets the win over Juan Chance. But that does leave a lot of questions out in the air, including one that, well, we'll talk about a little bit later. Because, well, let's put it this way. There's going to be some questions, shall we say. Questions about who is actually going to face Doom for those belts. But we'll cover that later. First, let's go to our next matchup, which is another one of these interesting grudges, where we have the one and the only Vinsmoke coming up against Theron Eldrazi, being accompanied by CJR Killer. Of course, the Outlaws had been paid during the reign of Hatsmoke to assist Hatsmoke and see that he didn't lose. And then they've since then been involved in a lot of shady dealings, including helping the Murder Cave in their efforts to try and get their hands on the Heavyweight Championship, which succeeded, but was short-lived thanks to the efforts of one Zacho Duo. So since then, Vinsmoke has had a absolute grudge on against the Outlaws. And right here, we see he would have had that match won if the ref hadn't been distracted by CJR Killer.
There's one thing that the Outlaws will always succeed at is having each other's backs in the most dirty ways possible.
That is absolutely true. And here we see, so Vinsmoke, again, one of the, I think the hat made people forget exactly how accomplished a wrestler Vinsmoke has been. And we know that ever since his being beheaded and making his comeback, one word has been hanging over Vinsmoke's head, and that word is cursed.
Yep.
But, to counterbalance that, he is still one of the toughest SOBs. Oh! And then right there, CJR Killer had thrown in a chair, and Theron Eldrazi took the advantage of face-planting Vinsmoke right on that chair. This is biggest issue that Vinsmoke faces in this match is the numbers game. If this had just been him versus Theron, from what we saw in this match, it would have had a very different outcome. But once again, off of that chair thrown in by and I'm like, at this point, I was yelling for the ref to get that chair out of the ring. And despite all of those chair shots, despite all of the damage, Vince Smoke still able to kick out.
And a boot to the head.
And never forget those. I know the term "educated feet" get thrown around a lot, but I don't think anyone has as strong a kicking game in MNW as Vince Smoke.
Vince Smoke, throw it there and.
I'd say about the only person that's come close, and that would probably be the Storyteller. Oddly enough.
Oddly enough, yeah. And right there, you see again the interference of Seizure, not quite crossing the line enough to get thrown out or to make a DQ, but making interference. And this leads to a draw. I think at that point, Vince Smoke just didn't care anymore about winning. It was about the fight. So this is what we have going on. It's quite
needless to say, I don't think that feud is going to be ending anytime soon.
No, not at all. And of course, it all gets
not if Vince Smoke has anything to say about it. That's for sure.
No, he is just and you got to understand that part of this is, of course, the involvement with Sir Unkley Dunk, who took the Nexus Titan Championship off of Vin mere moments after he won it, and that it turns out he has been paying the Outlaws. There's a tangled web, and a lot of it is attached directly to the Nexus Titan Championship. But with that, the next, we saw earlier Suplex Express taking down Devin and One Chance. And now the leader of VIP, Azir Turan, comes to the ring to address the multiverse.
Max. One day you are going to learn that this is not a game for VIP. VIP are the purest wrestlers that this company has to offer. The most technically sound, the best submission wrestlers. VIP is exactly what we say we are. So you got lucky. You beat us once. You beat Wilson once. Even a broken clock is right at least once a day. So why don't you put your money where your mouth is, Maximilian Thunder Thighs? You think you can do it again? Prove it. In fact, here is what I will do for you if you believe that you are so superior that you believe you should represent Warzone against Doom. Why don't you find a third person to team up with your archaic caveman, and we'll see exactly who should be fighting for the Trios Championships. Every time you step in this ring and bungle your way around the ropes, every time I have to listen to Unga Bunga try to put a sentence together, I realize why VIP exists. It is to bring prestige to every title we hold and bring prestige to any show we step foot on. You are a joke. And VIP will be happy to expose you.
So, yeah.
Who wants to tell him that technically broken clocks are right twice?
I mean, you could. Well, it depends. If it's military time or not.
That doesn't really work with clocks though, unless they're digital.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, are you gonna tell him?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not it.
That's what I thought. But definitely confident is Azir Turan, putting their trios title shot on the line against Thundabunga and a partner they're choosing. Now, to be fair, everyone is going to, right now, assuming that their partner is going to be One Chance. I would put out that is not a given.
Sure.
And I think there are a lot of people out there who would love to line up for a chance to put VIP in their place.
But, and while Unga Bunga may not have developed quite been around long enough to have developed the camaraderie I certainly don't think that there would be a shortage of people that would be willing to work with Max.
Oh, several people have been coming forth to assist him with this whole, hospital project coming up.
Sure.
So, I mean, who knows? We know he's sent out overtures to Dr. Caliban. We think he's actually reached out to Dr. Grimm. I'm hoping he's realizing that the Doctor of Albinomics is not an actual doctor.
I mean, hey, a hospital needs its music department.
So we're going to have to, it's going to be interesting to see who actually picks up that challenge, because we do know coming up on a future Friday Night Flashbang that right now it is set that VIP will be challenging Doom for the Trios Championship. But with Ozir laying down this challenge, it is now, can you imagine? I'm sorry, I just realized. Do you realize this means that Maximilian Thunderthighs and Unga Bunga could potentially be in the same ring with Mad Jack, Zeracus, and Michael Macabre?
Poor Unga.
Well, I'm just.
That'd be scary.
I'm just terrified what Max might say to Mad Jack.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I mean, normally you have to actually do something to Doom to have the other forms come out. You know what? Let's move on to our next. And what a match it is. Because as stated before, this is going to be Gore Wheel of the Toxic Wastelanders, one half of the Unified Tag Team Champions, facing off against the Goliath Gorm of the Conquest Bloodline. And with his partner, the main man, the Atomic Adonis, Big Papa Plutonium, at the ringside, but on Gorm's corner is all of the Conquest Bloodline. So everyone, the only person missing really is Burnout Vaughn. But that's because Vaughn has a match later in the evening to determine who's going to go after the Nexus Titan Championship.
Vicious boot.
Just monstrous boot. I mean, what do you expect? Gorm is quite literally a monster. And I don't mean that in derogatory. He is powerful. He is large. He hurts people. Former Warpgate Hardcore Champion. Former member of the Flashbang roster. Easily one of the most dangerous men in all of wrestling. But, on the other hand, this is the master of the meat wagon. One half of the Toxic Wastelanders, Gore Wheel. And ladies and gentlemen, I refer you back to that call out we heard earlier this evening about how tough these two are. And
you see that Wasteland Slam.
And Lady Boots getting on the ring, trying to distract the ref, realizing that the unstoppable one might not be so unstoppable. And Gore Wheel gets the pin, and I would say that was easily the upset of the night. Most people went in assuming that this was going to be Gorm just throwing Gore Wheel around, and Gore Wheel saying, "You forget who I partner with. I've dealt with tougher things after lunch break and having to, we're not going to get into it."
Well, and I think that people would certainly expect maybe that, okay, sure, maybe Gore Wheel would be able to put up a fight, but in the end it would still end up going to Gorm because it's Gorm. But not Gore Wheel not letting that happen.
Not going down anywhere near that easily. No. So with a win in their favor, Gore Wheel and the Revenant have the momentum going into their title match against the Lady Boots and Carnival. The only thing I would say right now is at least Boots got an up close and personal chance to scout Gore Wheel's wrestling style. The question is, did she garner anything that is going to give her any information she can use? Oh, hang on, I'm getting the light is going off again. Phyllis, why aren't you telling me who? Okay, fine. Hang on, let me get the phone. Hello, you're on Firing Line. Who do we have?
Yes, hello. This is the residential client and lawyer of the one of my client, Sir Jax, and the rest of the bloodline, Taylor Temple.
Hello, Mr. Temple. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. In fact, I feel so in my element right now because Mr. Joseph G. Rewords tells everybody that he is a lawyer himself, correct?
I believe his first name is Gordon, but yes.
Gordon, whatever. I get mixed up on all the names, but here, look at this. That right here is a bunch of papers that I have subscribed for him to instigate on the little stipulations. Like, okay, here I'm looking through the page of my of the rule book here. Now it says here that Golem's arm was on the rope, but yet the referee did not pay attention. You see what happened in that match? Both were trying to tell the ref to make sure the match is fair and clean. And the referee did not pay for that transgression.
So, all right. Well, I mean, I would have to. We could review the tape, but in fact, let's hold on a second, Mr. Temple.
Okay.
Let me, Phyllis, can we get the tape up again? All right, hold that thought.
I can take a minute. We'll make sure that the tape will get ready. Pretty slow.
All right, here we have. Okay, so here's that moment. Okay, well, all right.
So she had to the referee to say, "Hey, make sure the referee." And look at the hand. The hand was over the rope. You see that?
Yeah. I mean, I saw that. I'm going to have to double check. I'm not 100% sure the rope break rule is still in effect. I guess we can.
I'm just saying that we're going to stipulate a little bit further. We're going to have a referee that make sure that would speculate and make sure the tag team title match will be fair and square on Warzone, right?
I mean, you'll have to bring that up with the brass, of course. Have you? I'm assuming you've spoken with Mr. Lawson.
I'll try to make sure that Lawson is made fairly clearly that we get a very good referee who knows how to regulate matches through and through. That's all I'm asking for.
I mean, fair enough. I mean that I see where your argument's coming from. I will leave it to the officials to make. I mean, of course, as we know in professional wrestling, and for the outcome of a match, the word of the official is final. Now, I mean, there have been we know what happened with Redacted.
Yeah, of course, there's a many redactions out there,
and of course the effect that had on Lucius Constantine's title reign. But
yes,
neither of them seem to be around anymore. So I don't know how well that works for precedent. But
that's that care for devils and whatnot. So of course the devil's always in the details.
That's a really good point, and I don't disagree with you, sir. Well, Mr. Temple, we will see. I mean, I will be in the arena.
I will keep my eye on that match very, very carefully.
Fair enough. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Temple, the legal representative of the Conquest Bloodline. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Have a good night.
And hang on, Phyllis, the thing's going off. Oh, hang on. Phyllis.
Oh.
Somebody else is calling. Now it's getting, usually it's the flashbang portion that gets busy. All right, lady. Hello. You're on Firing Line.
Oh. Is this thing on?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Gorewheel on the phone with us now. Hello, sir.
Jerry, how's it going, mate?
It's going good. I mean, congratulations on your win. I'm assuming you're calling. I'm assuming you heard what Mr. Temple just had to say.
Oh, that kid. Please. You want to know how many times he's failed the bar examination?
I have no idea. Okay, well, if you're not here for that, how can we help you tonight, Gorewheel?
Oh, no. You see, I kind of came in for that, but, I decided I wanted to do something special. I want to do something special for Firing Line, and to also commemorate you now acting within our glorious cast of Warzone, and also to send a message to the Conquest Bloodline, because, you gotta send a friendly little message out there whenever, you're gonna be in for a match with them.
Okay.
So, first and foremost, congratulations, Mr. Aldini, and also hi, Pete.
Hello.
Second, get to the to that failure of a lawyer. Next time you want to come at me, you can send it to my office. You don't need to go try slandering me. It's not like, you failed the bar examination 12 fucking times already. You fucking discount out college grad failure. And finally, a message to the Conquest Bloodline. Especially that Git Semjax. Just want to get this out here. You sent a mountain to try to beat me. And I sent him back as pebbles. And this is one of the 2 Gits that me and Rev had to deal with and lost to, I will admit, at the C101. I'll be honest with you. We didn't go into that entire tournament with clear heads, especially considering we were fuming. But I want to say this right now. Come that match, I am going to send you, Mr. Semjax, a present in the form of that felt light known as Carnival with, how do you say, ripped to pieces. There's only one person out of that team I can really say that I actually am a little nervous about. And that's Lady Boots. And that's for good reason. I saw what she could do to some of the top-named Gits. So you know what? I wish her good luck. Sorry that she got paired with the weaker of the 2. But after what happened to Gorm, I'm starting to think anyone that isn't pale white and either is a vampire isn't really worth the time. Oh, and Semjax, I know you're listening out there, so let's make this quick. As soon as those tag belts drop from us, and as soon as that mega money in the bank's cashed in, just watch it back. Anyway, bye!
Okay, well, you heard it here. Strong words on both sides. Conquest Bloodline versus the Toxic Wastelanders this weekend. Place your bets now. Who's walking away with the gold? But with that, it's time to move on to... Oh, for God's sake.
When it rains, it pours.
I guess. Hang on. Let's see who we have this time. All right. Hello. You're on Firing Line.
You've reached the Hot Clown Hotline. If this is your first time, I'm going to have to afraid you're going to pay more.
Okay, first off, you called me.
Oh, shit, we're live. Oh, bye.
It's just one of those nights, isn't it? You know, I don't have to deal with this when I'm on commentary yet. But on the other hand, here I don't have wrestlers like right in front of our table fighting. So I guess it's a trade-off. Hey,
you take the good with the bad.
You know what? Let's go ahead and
our next facts of life.
Yeah. Our next match. Well, this next match is at one that was called earlier in the evening. We are once again seeing the Robros, R. Sawyer and the heavyweight champion Zach O'Du taking on the Murder Cave in the form of Chaz Lee and Arkulf, the Allfather. And as this match is from what I understand, it's a scouting match. It's a chance for members of the Murder Cave and members of the Mean to face off in anticipation of the upcoming match between Grizzly Adams and R. Sawyer, a rivalry going back years.
No!
Reminder to everyone, Grizzly Adams, former heavyweight championship, lost that belt to R. Sawyer, who then, of course,
Another
lost
off
to
switch! 1, 2, and Arkov breaks
with this
it up.
match, I mean,
And now look out here.
your guess is as good as mine. And I was there. It's R. Sawyer, Chaz Lee. They have issues dating back to Chaz's treatment of Zacho Duo when it was revealed that Chaz was a variant of Zacho's creator. You, of course, then have the issues between Zacho and Chaz for those very reasons. You have the Allfather, who everyone has issues with because Zacho Duo was put in prison by the Inquisition, who were summoned to MNW by Arkov. And, of course, what I just mentioned about Grizzly Adams and R. Sawyer. And then, of course, everyone has issues with Dr. Grimm, particularly Zacho Duo, who was sent to the past to prevent Dr. Grimm from destroying the multiverse. All right, does everyone have that? There will be a quiz later.
I would say the only person that not directly involved in any of this per se would be Malice.
Malice, in fact, is in a lot of ways just the purest of everyone. He's just there supporting his team, and of course his hatred of the fleshlings. Actually, that hasn't really been an issue with him of late. He's just been mostly there to promote the superiority of main event mechs.exe.
Well, you know, when you're hanging out with two other robots, you don't have to think about the flesh bags as much.
Not as much, no. But and then you have, so yeah, this is just a tangled web of interconnectedness. On the other hand, I mean, it still seems, at first seems strange, Chaz Lee teaming with Dr. Grimm, until you realize this isn't the Chaz Lee that sent back to Zacho Duo. In the meantime,
and Arkov with that vicious submission.
Yeah, that camel clutch, which is one of the signatures of the Allfather, the Murder Cave comes out with the victory ahead of that matchup next Saturday of Grizzly Adams versus R. Sawyer. If Grizzly Adams wins, then a member of the Murder Cave gets a shot at Zacho Duo's heavyweight championship.
I can only assume that Arkov garnered that they learned all they needed to from him for next week's match.
I would assume. You notice
the upcoming match.
You notice the one person not at ringside was Dr. Grimm. Makes you wonder, was he studying the tapes backstage?
Perhaps.
Heady thoughts. All right. Well, our next match. Oh boy. So last week there was a match featuring 3 members or former members of Omega Club facing off of 3 other people for the opportunity to have a triple threat match for the opportunity to face Sir Uncle Dunk for the Nexus Titan Championship. And that match was won by these men who are now going to face each other for that title shot. And they are former 2-time heavyweight champion Burnout Vaughn, current leader of Omega Club and former Trios champion Alpha Kong, and former Nexus Titan champion, I believe, D4C Trice.
And here we go, folks. Triple threat action.
And these men, actually, has Trice ever held any gold? I think I'm wrong. Point being, of all of these men, Trice is certainly the least decorated, which is part of his gripe that led him to Legion.
Sure.
But unlike Kane, I feel he's mostly just whining.
Might be looking for the drink your dinner.
Because here's the thing, you know what? Kane isn't bitching about missed title shots. He wants to get his hands on Grimm. He's got a very clear goal. Whereas Trice and Louis McDonald just looking for glory. And
I'm seeing here that I think Trice may have had the Titan championship at some
Okay,
point.
so I was right. All right. Sometimes you question yourself. I've been doing this a long time, Pete, but every once in a while, you know, when you've had as many concussions as I have. I mean, not that I can, you know, yet Trixie doesn't let me use that as an excuse for not taking out the trash.
Right.
And here we have Burnout Von going for the upper ropes, but Alpha Kong, again, these three men know each other so well. So well. And here you have Burnout Von. Burnout Von going after Trice. This one, I mean, they were very close at one point in time. Remember that it was Trice who put up the original money for Omega Pub. Now, Omega Club did buy out his interests, we learned. But still, you know, a lot of feeling here. Each of these men wanting that shot at gold, but also wanting to prove themselves against each other. Burnout Von, now the leader of the Roughnecks. Alpha Kong, the leader of Omega Club. And D4C Trice, a member of Legion. I don't know if Legion has a leader.
That is a good question. I don't know if I don't think there's so much a meritocracy like the Faces of Fear were, but I also don't necessarily think there's too much of a hierarchy per se.
Could we?
I'm not sure.
So what you're saying is they're just a gang of droogs.
Always a possibility.
Fair enough. And now he's got him up. Gutbuster. Good. And then that powerful gutbuster knee, and it looks like he is setting up here. Burnout looking to put him away. And with a smoke break on D4C Trice, you know, ringing his bell. Burnout with a clear shot, no Alpha Kong in sight. And you see here why Burnout Von is a former two-time heavyweight champion. He is a man who goes in the ring and gets things done. And with that, Burnout Von is the #1 contender for the Nexus Titan Championship.
And he very well could be going around his waist here in the near future.
I mean, it's Burnout Von. This is not a man you count out. But on the other hand, it's Sir Uncle Dunk. I think we can all agree on one thing. He in no way plans to play fair.
No.
No. I'm warning you right now, Butler, if there's anything about cease and desists or glaring through windows, there's going to be words, and it will be, a lot of those words will be security. With that, this leads us to the main event of the evening. It is a Big Oof Championship match featuring the constant nightmare Constantinople of Chained Hell taking on the Big Oof champion Bart Ender of Nakama Worldwide. And right here you see Constantinople. You know, Constantinople has gone from a blink and you will miss him oil wrestler to a man going after one of our titles on the show in a very short amount of time. And all it took was being dragged off by Chained Hell and having gods know what done to him. I don't even necessarily want to think about it.
Yeah. Redacted.
Yeah, very redacted. On the other hand, Bart Ender has been a tag champion. He is the Big Oof champion. He has been finding actually great success since joining Nakama Worldwide, which is saying something considering he was a rather reluctant member. In fact, one could argue he was press ganged into the faction.
Well, that being said, though, he has seemed to have kind of jumped in both feet and kind of, some might say, become the architect of the group.
Well, let's face it, it's been months since we've seen Trashman Jones. And that essentially leaves Nakamura Worldwide as a de facto duo with Bart Ender and Power Surge. Bart Ender being the veteran and Power Surge being his protege.
Sure.
And right here you see, making great strides, but Constantinople, as we said, showing his own power. But it's really hard when you're dealing with somebody as much veteran experience as Bart, although good ring awareness on the part of Constantinople getting out of the ring. But when you're facing a luchador, he can come from anywhere, usually above you. So
not just luchador, but as we've mentioned, somebody with the experience of street lucha, which is primarily you hear from his tag team partner Glaciaris, but that's not to say he's no stranger to it, especially having teamed with him for so long.
I'm just saying, going to the floor between that and street lucha, yeah, it's not a good place. And then getting closing time locked on to Constantinople, and that's it. Almost immediately tapping out. Bart Ender, after that impressive 8-man title match at Multivania, retaining the Big Oof against all odds, manages to once again retain it against Constantinople. But then Carcharodon, one of the men he faced at Multivania, Carcharodon, who feels that he should still be the chief contender for the Big Oof, attacking Bart Ender after the match. And this is what I say, it's this is not how you state you're the you shouldn't get matches for just jumping guys. But on the other hand, there seems to be more here than just the belt any longer.
Yeah, seems like there might be some feelings involved.
Yeah, it might be. And with Power Surge not being in the building that evening, and as we said, Trashman Jones nowhere to be seen, and not even his old friend Glycerius in the arena that night. Bart Ender finding himself all alone and getting after a grueling. Let's face it was a grueling match. Constantinople put up a hell of a fight, and that left Bart Ender with nothing left in the tank to defend himself against a fresh Carcharodon. Acting much like the Predator he is named after. I assume he's... I still don't know. Is he a shark? Is he like El Pollo? Is he a shark-themed lucha? Is he a shark man like Zephyr Tail?
As long as he's not that LL Cool J song from when he was in the Shark movie, I'm okay.
And or is he a bunch of shark bones anime? I mean, these sound crazy, but this is Multiverse Nexus Wrestling. We have seen some insane... I mean, we have a wrestler made out of the parts of dead wrestlers. We have a zombie who teams with a celestial being over on Flashbang. We have robots galore wrestling. And we have whatever registered Anon is. Which I still haven't worked up the... I know as an interviewer I should try and find these things out, but I can't bring myself to ask. Hell, our head of janitorial services was an emperor, and our head of maintenance, you never see him. You know that?
Yeah.
I finally met him. You know who our head of maintenance is? He's a gill man.
Oh.
Yeah. Weird. Anyway, enough about that. That was our main event. So that leaves us with just one thing left, Pete. And you know what it is.
I do.
It's the Warzone moment of the week.
And Gorwill's got him up. All the wasteland slam. And now come on, Lady Boots. Get down off the egg. You got to be kidding me. We saw this with CJR Killer. This is ridiculous. Oh, and there it is. 1, 2, and he got Gorm.
Wow, one gory impact later, and I think he's made his point.
I sure think he did. The gory impact connects, and that was it.
I am sure the Bloodline hoped that he would get tenderized, and that they forgot this is the master of the meat wagon.
I was going to say, I mean, Gorewheel loves to fight like this, although look at Gorm trying to reach for that rope, and he did not get there. Fingertips away. And tweeting out on social media, Gorewheel saying, "You're next, clown."
I really feel Carnival is more of a Muppet.
I don't even know, and I don't want to know. There are some things just best left unknown.
That's a good point. And there we have it, Pete. That was your Warzone moment of the week. And also tweeting out on social media, we have the Omni Geek. This reminds me, though, it might not be fully relevant to the match on now. See, I don't normally take things personally, but since this one involves a friend, what the heck, why not? Bart, Papusa, whoever, I'm offering my assistance with finding and punishing the real culprits for whoever did that to Sparrow. Believe the unbelievable. All right, fair enough. There's still that outstanding question of what happened to Sparrow. We think we've got it mostly solved, but there's still some questions. But with that, Pete, we are at the end of the evening.
That we are.
Anything else we need to cover you can think of?
I can't think of anything right now.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific time for MNW Friday Night Flashbang, and then I will see you all on Saturday with Eric Jenerickson at 1 p.m. Pacific time for MNW Warzone. For Pete McPherson, I'm Jerry Aldini. Good night, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Multiverse Nexus Wrestling YouTube channel. If you like this video, go ahead and drop a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and ring that bell to get notified whenever we post a new video. This has been Joe, signing out.